Today, what I'm going to be covering for you is how you can train and manage your virtual assistants for maximum results. Now, I have been so blessed in my life to have worked with a lot of virtual assistants. At the moment, we have about 21 of them working within our business. But first of all, we wouldn't have been able to create our multi-seven-figure business without virtual assistants. But I have to be honest with you guys, a lot of the things that I'm going to present on you today on how to manage your VA and how to manage your virtual assistant's expectations and your expectations are things that I had to learn along the way. I lost a lot of time and a lot of money learning these skills. I didn't really have a mentor kind of teaching me these things that I'm going to teach you today. So what my hope is that out of this training, you feel empowered to be amazing boss and leader to your virtual assistants. And you also understand what is possible when managing virtual assistants and how to get the most out of it. Now, when you're hiring a virtual assistant, you're actually using the principle, guys, of buying back your time. So what you're going to be doing is utilizing tasks that you are currently doing in your business or tasks your team members are, and you're going to give that to a virtual assistant. It's really important that you just have set processes and frameworks for each task and actually have like results on the board that the VA can just go and copy, right, to make their life really easy. Just remember, with virtual assistants, you are not hiring like a consultant. So just say, for example, you want to hire a virtual assistant to get 15 bookings per week, which is something we talk about a lot. If you yourself don't know how to get 15 bookings a week on Instagram and Facebook, you have absolutely no chance of training this virtual assistant how to do it. And that's why I really, really like the term of buying back your time. You're going to buy back your time with virtual assistants of tasks that are already running well within your business, and you want to delegate them out to either spend more time with your friends and family, maybe relax, or hopefully do more higher value tasks within your business. But I just want to cover for you guys a basic framework on how you can train your virtual assistants to do tasks. Now, it's really important when you're starting with your virtual assistants that you just start with the basics, right? You want to make sure you give them an overview of your business, including your vision, your mission, your goals, and just explaining all the tasks that are really important that they are doing and why you are giving them those tasks. So when a VA first starts with us on their first day, what they do is they look over our website, they look over our Instagram, our Facebook groups. We have internal trainings on our mission, our values, and where we see our company going. And then we also just make sure that any needed administration tasks are set up for the virtual assistants. So we give them their logins, their emails, how to get into Slack, Asana, whatever kind of CRMs they need to use. So usually in their first day, because they're coming to you and they know a little bit about your business, but not much, in that first day, their first 8 hours is just understanding what your business does, why it does it, and where you are headed, plus making sure they are set up to log into everything really, really neatly for when they start their staff training. Now, when you are giving your virtual assistants tasks, it's really important that you give them clear instructions. Now, the way that we do majority of our tasks is we have a written document of how to do things, and we love to have examples in there. So say in like sell by chat, you would have examples of successful sell by chat sequences that got bookings that they could watch. In emails, you'd have all the FAQs of how they reply to certain emails with examples. But one of our most favorite ways to train our virtual assistants is just using video. You can screen share what you're doing on Zoom or potentially on Loom. And as you're doing tasks, what you're able to do is to document your own IP and document what you are doing, so that then you can pass it on to the virtual assistant so they can start their training. Now, when we kind of start to train the virtual assistants, it actually works in 4 different ways. So during their first week, depending what their tasks are, is they will just watch all the trainings provided on how to do the tasks that we are asking them to do. It's really, really important that you don't overwhelm your virtual assistant. Now, you don't want to give someone 8 hours of work on the 3rd day that they are starting. So say when we have their checklist built out, right, which will be a normal full day of work, is what we do over the first 2 weeks, we only give them 25% of that checklist. then we give them 50, then 75, and then 100% over time. So they're not getting overwhelmed, and they have enough time to watch the trainings and to run through a couple of phases that I'm going to give you in a moment. So phase one is to watch all the trainings provided on how you do it. And you don't actually have to be there for your virtual assistant. All we do is get them to email notes of what they learned at the end of each day. So that pretty much covers like your VA's like whole first week of training. So you're with them in the morning, you're with them with the night, just reviewing a few emails and what they're learning, but it doesn't actually take too much of your time. Now, when we start to delegate tasks to a virtual assistant, here's where we go to phase 2, 3, and 4. Now, phase 2 is where we continue to do the tasks whilst the virtual assistant watches us do them. So that is showing them how to do it by demonstrating the task. Now, this will be a part of your daily routines or your team's daily routines. So it's not actually going to take you more time. All that you're simply going to do is to invite your virtual assistant onto a Zoom call whilst you are doing the task and show them how to do it. And that is phase 2, right? So now they have seen you do it, and you've been able to talk them through how to do it effectively. Then you want to go to phase 3, right? Is where you observe the virtual assistant doing the task. So they've watched some trainings, they've watched you do it. Now what's going to happen is you're going to let the virtual assistant do the task, and you're going to observe to make sure that they are doing it really, really effectively. That gives you that management structure and cadence where you can start to give them some more staff training to make sure that they're really, really confident on the tasks whilst you're still there supporting them. And then the final phase that you're going to work through is where you delegate the task to your virtual assistant, but then you have to add in management cadences. Now, I can't go through every single task within your business in this video, but different tasks have different management cadences. Say, for example, emails. That is not like a massive task of like super importance. It's pretty hard to mess it up. Your management cadence on emails might be like once a week where you check it over, just make sure everything's all good, and the VA emails you any questions they have. Now, sell by chat. If you want your virtual assistant to get you 10 to 15 bookings a week, which we do with our virtual assistants, that's where we'll do daily management training with them. So we'll upskill them daily. They'll do role plays. We'll review their messages. We'll look at how many messages they sent in outreach, to make sure that they're getting the results that we desire. Now, just depending what tasks you are delegating, just know that generally in sales and marketing, really important tasks, there's generally a little bit more communication involved. In administration tasks and things where it can't really go wrong too much, it's very templated, that's where you might meet your virtual assistants a little bit less. But the key is, right, to cover through these final phases to make sure that you delegate these tasks correctly. So you need to make sure that you provide feedback to your virtual assistant, both positive and constructive feedback on how they can improve within their role. You want to see your virtual assistant win, right? Which means you've got to be a really amazing leader to them. So you pat them on the back when they do a good job. And if there's something you feel like they can improve, you give them constructive feedback with what to do so that they can improve the next time that they do their tasks. And you want to make sure that you're giving them a nice, safe space to be able to ask questions, right? You've got to understand that some of these tasks that you are delegating, guys, you might have done for 1, 2, 3 years. So you know how to do it like that, right? Because you've done it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Now, if you're hiring someone who has not done this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, like yourself, it means you've got to be patient. You've got to let them have room to ask questions. And it's why with all of our virtual assistants, we get them to do an end of day report, which covers what went well, what didn't, and is there any questions, concerns that they have that we could answer to make their life easier. But also at the end of your meetings with your virtual assistant, you want to have a little bit of time where you can ask them, do you know what you need to do this week, or do you have any questions from me, right? And start to create that two-way communication with your VA where they're open to asking you questions and you're open to helping them, and you're going to go above and beyond to make their life as easy as possible so they win in their role, right? And that will help you be able to delegate tasks a little bit quicker. But also, guys, you've got to be patient, right? There is no way that the virtual assistants will get as good a results as you if you've been doing something for an extended period of time and you're very, very good at it. Now, when we look to delegate tasks to anyone within our businesses and not just virtual assistants, this is domestic staff as well. What our thinking process is we're happy if it's done at 80% of the efficiency as the owner or manager who is delegating that task down, right? Because if you're thinking about it like that and you're thinking, oh, hey, they'll get as good a results as me, is they don't have all the levels of training that you've had and all the levels of experience. So if you can think about being 80% is good enough, is that's going to free you up a lot of time and also relieve a lot of stress from you as the owner and the manager of this virtual assistant, right? And it will give you the ability to be a little bit more patient. But just like if you're onboarding any staff member, you don't really track like the direct ROI and results until about a 12-week period. In the first month, they're just settling in and getting to know their role. In the second month, they're getting a little bit better at the task and they're improving. And in the third month, they will start to need less management from you, also less help. And they would have done their set tasks a lot of times and they'll start to get better each and every single day. And then we also just want to make sure that we regularly review and update their tasks. Now, it's really important that at minimum, you have a weekly one-on-one meeting with your virtual assistants. And that would be at minimum, where you're looking over their checklist, you're making sure that they're doing the task that you provided, you're doing a systems check to make sure that they're doing it effectively, and you're giving them that positive and also constructive feedback so that they can improve within their role. And that is exactly how we delegate tasks to our virtual assistants. It does take a little bit of time, of course. The benefit that you get from a virtual assistant, guys, is you're going to pay a full-time VA, maybe $200 Australian to $300 AUD. They're going to work with you for 40 hours. That is like pretty like insane amount of insane rate to actually pay someone to work 40 hours. And let's just be like fucking honest. It is really, really cheap and is like sale of the century. Now, you've got to understand that when you're paying someone that amount, guys, is you're going to have to do a little bit more training and a little bit more management with them, right? If you want to go out and pay someone 50, 60, 70, maybe $100,000 to do these tasks, of course, you will need to do less training and less management. So you just need to know like exactly what you're getting yourself into and also what are the pros and cons of having a virtual assistant. But then I just want to cover, guys, as we bridge through how you manage the expectations of your VA. Because quite often you'll have like really, really big expectations. You'll want them to have KPIs and things like that. And we generally like act it like pretty cruisy with our VAs for the first 8 weeks where we're just training them, we're mentoring them. We don't actually give them like really set hardline KPIs until their 3rd month of employment with us, because we understand that they are in a training and onboarding phase at the start. But when you're looking to manage your VA's expectations, there's really 7 things that you need to hit really well. And this is actually for any staff member. So for those people watching who don't maybe have a VA, is if you have any staff within your business, whether they're contractor, casual, or full-time, if you don't have any of these hit, I'll definitely make sure that all your staff in your business have it. Now, first of all, you need to clearly define their roles and responsibilities. Okay, they need to know what they need to do, why they need to do it, and what their responsibilities are. And that would include a job description and also their checklist of what they need to do each day, each week, and each month. Okay, very important that all of your staff members have that, including yourself if you are a manager or a CEO of a company. But then we want to set achievable goals. You want to make sure that your VA is winning. Now, during the first 3 months, our goals of our VA is better than what we were last week. And then over time, you can start to set a few more hardline KPIs, but you want to make sure it's achievable. If you have a VA come into your business and you're like, hey, week 2, I expect you to get 15 bookings a week, and they haven't done as much training as you haven't done like 20 or 30 role plays with them. They haven't got confident at messaging people really quickly, and they don't know the script yet. And you have that as an expectation, you are going to fail, you are going to put too much stress on your virtual assistant. You're going to put too much stress on yourself, and you're going to think that you are failing. And that's where it's really important to set achievable goals. Don't set those like bullshit stretch goals where you want like one of your staff members to completely save your business. And then what happens is both of you end up getting overwhelmed. And again, guys, you've got to provide regular feedback. If you have a virtual assistant, you need to become a really amazing manager and leader. Managing people like with inside your fitness businesses where they're like right next to you is actually quite easy, right? Because you get to see them so much. With your virtual assistants, you need to be very well structured of when you meet them, to make sure that you have meeting agendas of what you're covering, to make sure that you have time to check their work so you can praise them on the good work and also address any areas that need to be improved, and also uncover any misunderstood tasks and things like that. If you don't cover these parts of training your VA really well, guys, you are going to struggle a lot. And of course, you need to be consistent, right? If you're not consistent to your team and your staff, they are not going to be consistent. So you need to make sure that when you're being really consistent with them, you have your set meeting times, that you're checking their work, that you have like a singular type of communication and leadership style. You're not going like demanding like greatness one week, and then the next week you're like, oh, it's all good. Like I'm missing 2 to 3 days of work. You want to make sure that you're incredibly consistent with your virtual assistants and making sure that you have a lot of time available so that you can answer any questions they have. And this is where, like, however you want to communicate with your virtual assistants, is we don't recommend that when you become a manager of a business and when you have a team under you, you can't have your calendar like fully blocked out from like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. with no meeting times. You've got to have an open door policy. Like just say last week, we had one of our amazing virtual assistants who got moved into a new role. So that he got one new task that he needed to do. And then on an afternoon, he's saying, hey, I really don't enjoy this. It's kind of stressing me out. It's giving me a bit of anxiety. And I had to have an open door policy to take a 1-hour meeting with this amazing staff member because we had given him a new task that he wasn't enjoying. Now, if I was booked out like all day and I had no time, that could have went very, very pear-shaped incredibly quickly. So you need to be available for your virtual assistants so that you can answer any questions they have. And guys, it's really important that you celebrate success. Now, you're going to give them constructive feedback and things to improve. I have no doubt about that, because you want the like best performance in your business. But if you're not like praising them on the things that they're doing, how much time they're saving you, on the tasks that they're doing really well, and celebrating their wins, what's going to happen is they're just going to think you're always at them, right? And you're always like giving them negative feedback. Is you want to make sure that you're giving them positive feedback at every chance you can. And one of the things that we do is in our staff meetings, at the start of our meetings, we always start with a business win and a personal win. And then we all also make sure that on a Friday is we praise our staff for all the amazing tasks that they are doing and how much they are helping our business grow. And then, guys, you've just got to manage change effectively. There's only one guarantee in business, is that things change. I mentioned a story to you about 2 minutes ago about when we changed one staff member's role and it didn't suit. You need to learn how to manage change effectively, because what's going to happen in your business is the tasks you give them today are probably going to be quite different to the tasks they're doing in 12 months. So you need to make sure that you can communicate that with them really well when their role is changing or their tasks are changing, and also make sure that you're giving them the support needed so that they can win in any new tasks that they are doing. So guys, that's like a big overview of lots of things that I've learned using virtual assistants to create 2 7-figure businesses now. I hope you got a little bit of value from today's episode. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me absolutely anytime. I really, really love working with virtual assistants. I love how much positive energy it gives me in my life. And then there's also, like anything that gives you so much positive energy, there is some cons to it. Absolutely, no doubt. It is not a perfect system. If you do have any questions, feel free to send me a message anytime. More than happy to help you guide through managing your VA or potentially hiring the perfect virtual assistant for your business.